And a wonderful morning. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Clambo. And due to technical reasons, we are running slightly late. Apologies. Never compromise your values to please other people. Keep your self-respect and walk away. Mr. Vasipala Tenakul, Mr. Asoka Abe Gunawardena. Very good morning and welcome to Newsline.
Good morning.
How many of our parliamentarians, our legislators, can live up to that saying? Never compromise your values to please other people. Keep your self-respect and walk away.
There have been legislators like that too.
Indeed.
There have been.
In the past?
Yes.
Why is it that we always talk about the past tense?
Yet to see the performance of that nature.
What about you, Mr. Asoka?
Well, the life is slightly complex than that. We have our own values. We should not compromise, but negotiation should be there, and we should have a consensus, because we won't be able to achieve everything we believe. So the parliament itself is a gathering where we need to discuss and find a better solution.
But are you pleased, pre the results of the presidential election, you campaigned hard and fast for change, the anti-corruption ticket, you embraced that and so on. Are you pleased with what's happened?
No, actually, now what we are trying to do is, the systems should change in order to overcome this corruption and other issues. So what we are trying to change the systems, there were certain progresses, mainly with respect to the independent commissions, but actual impact of that is still yet to see. It's not, we have not achieved that. And beyond that, if we are to have a better parliament, then it's essential to change the election system. Otherwise, we will be discussing the same issues over and over again.
But isn't that what the government is doing?
Well, I don't think this particular proposal tabled will lead to a final conclusion, because we are tackling three different issues at the same time: abolition or changing the executive presidency and the electoral system, and also devolving power and how to address the issue of reconciliation.
Right.
So in a mix, we won't be able to resolve that. If we can separate these out and can achieve a result, then we, at the end of the day, we will have something on what we have achieved.
But Mr. Asoka, I put it to you that the biggest problem is that we have a Prime Minister who appears to think that he has all the power and that he needs all the power, and therefore it appears to me, and I put it to you, that Ranil Wickremesinghe is lacking in his inclusiveness.
Well, that's exactly the issue we are facing right now. Now, yesterday's reshuffle just gives an indication from the President's side that the Prime Minister should be responsible and to develop a consensus among the two major parties and achieve the results, which is lacking right now. So it's only a warning signal, but it's up to the Prime Minister to facilitate the process and do it. That's the actual thing which is on the ground, because the number one party in the Parliament is the UNP. So he has a greater responsibility than the President, because President's group is the third in the Parliament. So we cannot ignore that. So it's essential that the Prime Minister takes the warning signal given by the President.
Sorry, what did you mean by that? The President's group is the third?
In the Parliament, number one is the UNP, number two is joint opposition in numbers, and number three...
But there is no such thing as a joint opposition.
Practically they are not,
these people have all been elected on one party's ticket. If they want to go and sit on the end, on the other side, they must resign their position. That's the law. And then they must recontest if they can't just usurp the responsibilities given to them.
No, it's much more complex than that. During the presidential election, all those who are now representing, most of them representing the UPFA, were against Maithripala Sirisena during that time. So it's a complex situation. So within the party,
back to this quote we started off with: never compromise your values to please other people. Keep your self-respect and walk away. These guys don't want to walk away. They compromise and barter their self-respect in exchange, most probably, for all these benefits they get, like the cars. You know, we've got a little package to show you about the cars now. Let's have a look at these package of cars. There we go. These are the vehicles that our legislators arrived at the presidential secretariat in. It's like the Dubai Motor Show. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And look at the values of these cars, beyond the imagination of most people. And they'll just carry on, won't they? Who would have thought that we are living in a country so engulfed by such economic wars, and where vast tranches of people have been essentially forgotten by our legislators? How can they go to the electorate? In which rule book, Asoka, does it say that you need to have an upmarket car? These are not business people who earned it and are paying for it with their money.
Yeah.
This is the public's money.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with this, because now if we are to tighten our belts, then it should be done by the politicians first. If we are to address the core issues in the country to develop the economy. So this is not the proper way of handling the public money, and beyond that, they should concentrate on the future of the country and have a consensus regarding the policy matters. Then only the economy will be developed. Then only we can go for luxury items.
Mr. Rusipala, you've been listening to all this,
yes.
But perhaps we ought to start with, I should put another question to you. The pack has been shuffled. The jokers remain, as quoted yesterday on Face the Nation.
Yes.
Watched by people all over the world, thanks to www.tv1.lk. Press the live button and you can then start seeing it. So is it a farce? Are the jokers... they're still in the pack, aren't they? They've just been shuffled about.
For us, cabinet reshuffle is a meaningful thing if it was done with a clear objective and with a clear understanding what they were trying to do. But here, this cabinet reshuffle does not show that they have had a plan behind it to do that. They have been yielding to the pressure mounting from the public as against a few ministers about their performance, about their diligence and about what they were doing. So when it became so unbearable and when the pressure was mounting, demanding a yield, quick yield, they did this so-called cabinet reshuffle. It was virtually a swap than a cabinet reshuffle, you know, between two members, senior members of the party, political party they belong to. It has been changed, mainly. The other things are also, you know, what one minister just gave in to be brought to bring another person. So therefore, it doesn't appear to be a seriously thought out plan for the needs of the country.
But this is all, this really is a joke, isn't it? And I am forced to refer to the Island's newspaper's editorial, which says which says thus: Mangala Samaravira has lost the foreign affairs portfolio and got finance instead. Ravi Karunaka has been stripped of the finance portfolio and made the foreign minister. This is the only significant change in the cabinet. Now we have a former finance minister with an economist as his deputy handling the country's foreign affairs, and a former foreign minister running the finance ministry. We have come full circle. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
We've come full circle. So, Asoka,
Yeah.
how happy are you? What you fought for? Why are you still part of this pack? They're not delivering.
Yes, true. Actually,
I was going to say, why are you part of this rat pack?
no, I mean, what we were expecting is to have a constructive dialogue between the two major parties and come to a minimum understanding what should happen during the next few years and beyond that. That negotiations were not happening. One party was trying to grab the situation and rule the country, and the others were obstructing that process. So instead of that, what should have happened is to have a constructive dialogue to come to a consensus. Then only all these reshuffling and everything become meaningful. Otherwise, it's of no use just changing the phases. So, and beyond that, if you are to go beyond, I mean, this what you mentioned, the jokers or that type of a category, then we need to change the electoral system. Then only election system. Then only we can have a better team in the parliament. So if we can achieve at least such milestones, then we will be leaving something for the future. Otherwise, it's just wasting time and ruining the country.
Let's see what is being left for the future instead of giving excuses. Join us after this short break. Stay connected. Don't go away.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back to Newsline. And this morning we've got Asoka Begunawadna and Mr. Rusipala Tenakul. And Mr. Rusipala, do you know, very bad. I do apologize. I hope you are in the best of health. You had a bit of a scare last few days ago.
Yeah.
And Mr. Rusipala, at least on behalf of the people and the behalf of the media in this country, you must take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Apart from your lovely granddaughter and your wife.
Thank you very much. I think there are nothing.
And your several friends.
Nothing serious about it, you know.
Very good,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
We wish you, you always have our best wishes, Mr. Rusipala.
Thank
As
you,
indeed
Faraz.
you do, Mr. Asoka. But Mr. Asoka, we are really confused. Why should we give them excuses? Do you know, for example, let's take a businessman. When he gets himself a Mercedes-Benz S350, it is usually the culmination of a peak, of a milestone that that person has achieved, with a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication and a lot of commitment, and a focus on what needs to be done. These people in Parliament, they just waltz in and they get the top prize straight away. Who are these guys? Can they honestly afford the luxury of, and it is a luxury, should they be given such vehicles? And isn't it sad that in a country where we have been deprived of proper democracy for several years, and I'm not just talking about President Rajapaksa or President Kumaratunga, right? In such a scenario, isn't it absolutely shocking that on a prime time program we are forced to talk about vehicles because these 225 jokers have decided to do something completely against democracy and the people?
Yes, no question about that. I mean, they take decisions on their own for the benefit of, for their benefit. But now it's finally up to us to decide what will happen during the next occasion. For that, the systems should change. That's my point. I mean, it's not the individuals that creates this chaotic situation, but the systems. So I'm concerned.
So it's a system, Asoka, where there's riches for the ministers and deputy ministers and no food for the people.
Yes.
I had a look at a bill from the grocery bill 2 days ago. A coconut was 70 rupees, for heaven's sake.
Yes, that's exactly the issue. Now, unless we have a proper plan, proper policy in place to overcome this crisis situation which is prevailing in the country, on the economic front, on the social front, on the environmental front, unless we have solutions, we are leading nowhere. Then these what's happening, only thing is happening is what we have just mentioned.
Mr. Ruspada, 2 years have passed, and honestly, is it time that the youthful members of our 225 from all parties, isn't it time that they've joined and create a new force to truly reflect the aspirations, hopes and desires of the people?
It's a very, very valid, important issue that people should give their attention to. The professionals, a few professionals that there are in the parliament should consider it their responsibility to play a dynamic role in this no-way situation, you know, where the pack that is shuffled comprises of people who have shown their performance abilities to no satisfaction of anybody. That is what has happened. They have given their fullest contribution and they have proved in the process that they are not capable of delivering what the people want. So therefore, it is time that the leadership of parties should give consideration to the second generation, the younger professionals who are in parliament at the moment. Until we go in for a new parliament with under new laws, under a new constitution to bring in more people, clean people, there are some professionals who should be given some place for them to prove their mettle. This is not happening. That is one aspect. The second aspect for us is, now this government comprises of two major parties and it is called a national government. Okay, call it like that. But the people in this country who voted them into this position, even in this proportion, the disproportionate manner, they have a right to know what these two parties are going to deliver during the second phase of their parliament life. Now they came into an agreement for the first 2 years. We don't know what the agreement was, but we know one thing. The agreement has been very firm, very steady as far as their sharing of power, sharing of other responsibilities,
sharing of the goodies.
Sharing of the goodies are concerned, well, and survival is concerned, it was very much in place, but not with regard to the public policy and the duties primarily that they are called upon to perform by the people by exercising that vote.
But you know, it's there for all of us to see what a bunch of inefficient people these people are. It's 2 years since they've been there and they're absolutely sloven and inefficient because they... Do you agree? Are they sloven and inefficient?
No, that is why I say now we have come to a juncture where the people of the country, those social civic right movements and all those interested parties, interested groups must now get together again, demanding the government that before they start their second phase, the second 2-year term, they must announce their priorities to the public. They must show clearly and publicly what they have agreed to do. And if they fail to perform those things, at the end of the period, left to the people to decide, they are totally inefficient, they care less for the people, they are not ready to serve the people, therefore they should not be re-elected.
How can they be possibly reflective of the people's thought process? We've got them fighting amongst themselves, and they can't even pass enact the New Inland Revenue Act, right? fast enough, because they've been spending time either sorting out the benefits for themselves with these cars and so on. It's a joke. It's a joke. What can we really do about it?
Actually, now I have seen this memorandum of understanding between the two major parties when they formed the new government in 2015, after 2015 August election. It's a moderate document which reflects the basis or the principles of the two major parties, how they can come together to a consensus, which is very useful. But unfortunately, beyond that, after that, they have not followed the MOU, and now it's a 2-year it was for a 2-year period. Now later on, I mean midway, the president formed another committee representing the two the leaders of the two parties to discuss and implement the MOU, which I think
two budgets not implemented.
Yes, exactly.
Two budgets not implemented.
That's because there's no understanding between the two major parties regarding the economic matters. That's exactly the point. Now, as you pointed out, I mean, this government cannot survive much. I mean, time is running out.
Isn't it time? There is no, there's nothing. The time is of the essence. There's no time like now. So, isn't it time that they called an election and went their separate ways and gave, hopefully, a new lot of people will emerge from this complete mess.
I agree. I agree. If they cannot have a solution immediately, then it's better for them to go for an election. That's true. But I think, on the other hand, from the president's point of view, he has given a warning, given a red light to seriously consider. That's just an indication what he was trying to do. And beyond that, definitely they should take proactive steps towards that. If it's not happening, then we need to go for the next step. No question about that.
Mr. Risipala, do you think that Ranil Wickremesinghe explained before the appointments the ramifications of, for example, just one example, of splitting the finance ministry into 3 different parts? That's one, right? This is the same Prime Minister who on the 30th of March 2015, 3 months into his 3rd term then, comes in and writes a note to all ministers saying that as a matter of policy, we must have none of these bids that are unsolicited bids. Yes. As a matter of policy, should not be accepted. And then a week later, he awards a company a contract to build part of the highway without even having a request for a proposal. And the list is going on and on and on. The president wanted a commission of inquiry into the bond. Wham! He comes in and he appoints a 3-member committee. Nearly 2 years later, we're still here. The money is being lost. And the people are having to pay rising prices. Look at the cost of your telecommunications. It's up and up. And then we had failed balloons and all sorts of jolly things. But the bottom line is nothing for the people. What do you say, Mr. Asoka?
Yes, that's the frustration we are all facing now. From our side, we have tried our best to deliver certain things to the country. Now we were working on certain fronts, but the core issues remain same. So addressing the issues at the policy level should be done by with the political leadership. Political will, determination should be there. So without that, we cannot survive long.
In a nutshell, Mr. Risipala, we'll let you finish. What do you think? This method?
It is not the reshuffle. If, as Asoka said, if there was an understanding and an agreement or an MOU, and if this has been conveniently forgotten and suppressed, that amounts to doing something against the mandate given by the people. Therefore, the people have a right to demand that either the MOU conditions have been observed and carried on, or a fresh MOU has to be announced and adhered to, and if they don't do that, the people should have the right to take the necessary action. But one thing, the political leaders have very carefully foreseen this state of affairs at the time of coming into power. That is why, leaving everything else aside, in the constitutional amendment, they included a very important factor which is advantageous to them. What was it? You can't dissolve the parliament before 4 years.
Right.
These are all carefully maneuvered, planned things because they knew their inefficiency. They knew they were unable to deliver what they promised. Therefore, they had the necessary safeguards. We are caught in that situation, but the people are supreme. They are supreme than the constitution.
The people. So the way I see it, finally, on the 23rd of May, 2017, is that the core issue of robbing the people is the only thing that has stayed put. Yes or no? In one word, yes or no?
What we have achieved is insignificant when you compare the things that were happening in that direction.
Asoka Abegunawardana, thank you very much. And Mr. Rusipala, do you agree? The core issue of robbing the public is the only thing that has remained constant.
It's dominating.
It is dominating.
Yes.
On that note, on that somber note, that's it from Newsline on the 23rd of May 2017. Take care and God bless.